new listeners, repeat listeners, those that are just kind of venturing in for the first time and just kind of peeking and seeing what we're doing here in the Man Cave. This is a place where Cedric and I, gosh, going on 2 years ago, just came up with this idea and then shared it with my son. My son kind of put it into, action plan, gave us the working parts of what we needed to do this. And here we are, 50 plus episodes later, here in the Man Cave, sharing us as we are. Just Cedric likes to say we're too, what do you say? We're too normal, or actually not normal.
So we're just two dudes.
Just two dudes. Just ordinary dudes, I guess is what he says sometimes. And I think we're not, we don't look at ourselves as being necessarily ordinary. We're striving to be the best men we can be in our lives. And why we put this out there was just for us, and first and foremost, to just create a space for us to grow our friendship. We're in two different areas of the world, two different walks of life, two different life experiences. And we felt it was important for us to learn more about us as men and how we move through the world, how we experience different feelings and emotions that men oftentimes don't talk about, things that we, have to kind of keep at bay because we might feel judged, or we might feel like we're not accepted, or just not feeling that willingness for others, especially men, to listen to what we have to say. So we just decided to put this out there. We love this space that we've created, just feeling a lot of energy. We've got an amazing guest that I'll allow him to introduce himself, but just checking in with just a lot of great energy. Just feeling this whole year so far has just been just a great, kind of moving forward in my life. And so appreciative of Cedric, who shows up and shares himself. And Ced, let the folks out there listening know how things are going on in your life. Any highlights going on, lowlights, just what's going on in your world?
Oh man, just like it's a new word that I'm gonna use for the rest of the year now, man. I'm winning. This mindset, everything, man, just winning. Just got a lot of good stuff going on, man. We have the listeners joining, we have the show, we have each other. Man, and then tonight we got our special guest. Oh man, it's just going good. Y'all are going good, man. So appreciative. So grateful, so grateful that God and the universe created this opportunity for us to have this space and for y'all to even join us while we just two men out here sharing it, sharing ourselves. But yeah, that's what's up, man. Just gratefulness and excitement and movement.
Nice. And Jason, before I introduce you, I know when I first heard you, actually I didn't see you, I just heard you. I heard this Bangarang voice and just this loud, amazing energy that just filled, and I think it was outside when I actually heard you. And you just instantly filled just the space that I was in with just so much positive energy. And I just watched from afar, you kind of sharing your experiences and your dreams and your aspirations to overcome some of the things that you're still working on as we speak right now. I just love you putting yourself out there and posting about your progresses that you're making. So, you know what? I look at you right now as just being larger than life to me. So I'm going to let you do the full introduction, a little bit about what you're doing in your life, and introduce the topic that you kind of brought to us as far as what we're speaking about tonight.
Yeah. So guys, for those that are new listeners, old listeners, or occasional listeners, I am Jason, the Bangarang coach. And tonight's topic is all about the Bangarang Effect. It's a recent audio that I put out. And the idea of Bangarang is whatever is awesome, or you're living into what your true nature is. Like, that's the idea of Bangarang for sure, for me anyways. And so, for Cedric, first time I ever met Cedric, we were talking or whatever, and I had made a comment about doing some kind of impression or something, and this girl was like, yeah, you should do that. And I'm like, no, I can't. And Cedric's like, no, I'm going to take away your man card for that. And I was like, dude, you're taking away my Bangarang card for that, then. That was one of those things. But the idea of Bangarang, so in the audio that I talked about, and for those that are listening and whatnot, you can reach out to me. Check me out on JT Wellness. If you want to get a copy of the audio or anything like that, we can talk about that. But the idea of Bangarang comes from the movie Hook. For those that are familiar with Hook, it's like 1994 with Robin Williams and whatnot. And my interpretation of this is that before we came to this earth, we all had a spirit that we knew that knew us better, and then when we came here, we forgot what we knew beforehand. Just like in the movie Hook, where Peter basically goes from Neverland to the real world, quote unquote, and he forgets everything, and then he goes back to Neverland, but he gets pulled in by somebody. In this case, it's Tinkerbell, but that's the same with us. We get pulled in by somebody else. So, like for you guys, it could be whoever pulled you into HCI or your coaching practices or whatever is going good for you. This calling that you may feel that you have. Whoever helps pull you into that. That's your Tinkerbell, your mentor, and whatnot. And then you've got your Lost Boys. That's your tribe that you follow. That tribe that you surround of people that you surround yourself with that help lift you up. So in the film, one of my absolute favorite scenes. So in the beginning, there's this little boy they're going back and forth. They're going back and forth. Rufio's saying, "Well, he's not the Pan," and Tinkerbell's like, "Well, yes, he is." They go back and forth, and it's not until the smallest of boys goes and actually looks at him and says, "Hey, there you are, Peter." And a lot of times we have our people in our crew that can see what's truly in us and can see our true nature basically better than we can see it sometimes, because we're so down on ourselves, whether that's as men or that's just people in general. We are so, at least in my experience, I critique myself so heavily that I talk about this a little bit in the recording, that I was so deeply depressed because of how much I had critiqued myself. I was ready to commit suicide. And that, I came out of that because of the Tinkerbell that got me out of that. I've had several Tinkerbells, and then also just the Lost Boys that I've surrounded myself with, people from the Gentlemen of the Revolution and some of the other crew that I've ran with this last 2.5 years that have helped me personally to get me out of that. And so in this scene, once this little boy, who essentially is the most insignificant really of the whole crew, sees who he truly is, everybody believes him. Well, he still doesn't believe himself. And in one of the, again, this is one of the scenes that I talk about in the recording, is that they're having their dinner scene, and you see everything smoking, and it looks like it's going to be a really fabulous meal. And then they rip off all the lids and everything, and there's nothing there. And a lot of times we can't see what's in front of us, the greatness that's in front of us, that's for us. And that's when we actually sit into that greatness that we have, that's when we can start to realize our truest potential. And that's the idea of the Bangarang Effect, is living into that true potential, that potential that we had before we came here that we've forgotten. And that's what I invite people to do. And anybody that's listening, I'd invite you to do the same thing. Spend some time with your creator. Spend some time with your higher power. Ask him what you're here to do. What did you lose when you came from premortal life to this life, as far as knowledge, and get it back, and then become the true Pan, that true Bangarang self, if you will.
Wow.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, but I think when you were saying that, Jason, I was just thinking about, and I mentioned early on when I was, talking about you, is just that powerfulness of you in a room. And, when you were talking about just how we, because I believe never born, never die, right? This energy that is part of us now is just something that's been in the universe, irregardless of this physical body that we embody. So I'm just interested when you were talking about that, just that whole idea of, that lack of awareness around the power that we have, and how we just give that away, and sometimes don't realize that we don't understand the benefits of regaining that, because we get into that complacency of just playing small, of just accepting life as we feel like it is versus what it can be. And Cedric and I have talked about that, just that whole, the taglines of, this is it, right? Just assuming that this is all life has to offer, versus understanding where in our life early on, these different life experiences that we've had, when were we reluctant to tap into that power? when do we kind of decide to play small in our life, which may have served a certain purpose at that time, but at what point do we then step forward and acknowledge and appreciate the fact that we can take that back? You know, we can step into something new that we know is part of who we are without any type of worry about how others are going to respond to it. You know, I love, and I hope you're okay with it. I mean, you've been sharing, you know, your journey with your weight, you know, on a regular basis, and just the release and positive outlook that you've had through that whole experience. And there's unfortunately a lot of people that are you know, kind of stuck in, you know, not being able to express that powerful part of that message that you're putting out there. So I love the fact that this whole topic that you have, as well as your willingness just to take the power that you have always had at a much higher level, and then sharing it within this beautiful, you know, message that you're putting out there into the universe, and just trusting that, right? Not expecting, you know, like you sent it to me for a peer review, right? And whatever came back was exactly what it needed to be for you. And maybe you're able to take something from that or not, which is perfectly fine, and make it something even more powerful, or it's already exactly what it needs to be. And I just love the fact that you're willing to, you know, express that, share it, and then live it, not just putting these words out there, but, you know, again, when I've experienced you, you know, and that's not normal for a man, right? How many men can even us three really say, other than maybe some of the men we've met through coaching and are close, you know, to us, to where we can express that, but in the world in general, you know, just the reluctancy or the inability or the lack of desire or whatever it is for men not to tap into that part of us that's that energetic part, not the ego driven, you know, what do I want you to think about me versus what I think about myself, and then just putting that out in the universe.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. As you were talking, it reminded me of a quote, and I can't remember the original author. I know Nelson Mandela said it. I know it was used in Coach Carter, for those that are familiar with that movie and stuff, but it's one that it talks about our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, or in my case, our bangarangness shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And you know, you were talking about that, this idea of being able to show ourselves. I find it so interesting that a lot of times we want to play small because we're what other people think, when in reality, the only what we think other people think of us is just us thinking they think that. Mm-hmm. They may have some completely different idea of what we truly are. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Putting out the Bangarang Effect took a lot out of me, only because I was like, what if nobody wants to listen to this thing? Yeah. It's you know, pop culture references out the wazoo, and what if nobody cares? I've had a great response, don't get me wrong. I feel completely grateful to you and others that have listened to it and that have wanted to be better because of either listening to this audio or following my journey and my weight release, you know, those kinds of things. And it's just being myself up and truly, as I've said in other videos I've done, show you guys my guts and show the world my guts. It's really liberated me from a lot of things that I had hidden inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's real beautiful. I just want to take a moment to breathe that in, man.
Yeah, man,
I'm just thinking, reclaiming power is what I hear. And it's like, this is coming at an interesting part of my life too, man. All of y'all know, you know, I have an 8-month-old, and life has changed drastically, and it makes me really, really connect with this Bangarang Effect. right? But just on it is my view of the world is just skewed a little bit because I look at this dude, I look at my son Mosiah, like right now he has his teeth coming in and just the walking. I can remember when he was just in a swaddle, you just sat him down and he was just there, couldn't do anything. And then you see the progression. And now, like I see him crawling and he pulls himself up and he'll stand there for a little bit. But what connects to me as I look at him, and no matter where we are, he will do the exact same thing to master his well-being and his way of getting around, which is walking, right? So just like the Bangarang, like he's innocent. He doesn't care if he falls, what people are gonna think, he's just focused in on his innocence, on himself, like, and he's not tainted right now at this point. He's innocent. He has all the power, and how it messes him, just he falls down, gets back up, falls down, gets back up. And we can do the same thing. We've just fallen down so many times, and then we learn these words here on earth that we can associate with the thing that we're going through. And so, oh, that's pain, that's hurt, that's fear. And so now over time, we just get stuck and we don't even know who in the hell we are anymore. And so now we got to get a Tinkerbell, and where the true reality is, or the Tinkerbell's great, yes. We don't necessarily have to use them though, because we have the ability to pull ourselves up and walk again. But just the way life has it, that programming that we've gone through, which is life and experience, has caused us to need them, and be in that place. So, man, I appreciate this divine time to hear that. And, man, it's crazy. Because I never would have thought we would have been here at this show when I heard this powerful ass Bangarang in the back of the room. Bangarang, like, whoa, who in the fuck was that? All right, and what is that? And then talking to him, I'm like, this dude here is it. Like, I bet he got something about this cat. And now you helping the world with the Bangarang Effect. I couldn't have said it as eloquently, or I've seen Hook a million times and never looked that never dawned on me. So I appreciate that, man.
I just want to build on what you're saying, Cedric. I mean, you're totally right. Like the idea of like the Tinkerbells and stuff in our life, yeah, they're great, but they can only get us so far. Like that was one of the big things, especially like from the film, for those that are familiar with it. She got him to where he needed to be, but he still had to do the work. And that's the same with all of us. We've got to get in and do the work to be able to fly. So in the recording, there's three main parts that you get, like that you learn from, like I said, the Tinkerbell gets you there, and the hooks are those problems, those times that we get, like you said, that we fall down, that we get pushed over or whatever. And then our lost boys are there to help rally us, but ultimately it's us. But the three things that you got to focus on, and it talks about this in the film, you got to learn how to fight, fly, and crow. So being able to fight, you've got to be able to fight your hooks, whether it's a vice, whether it's people at work, whatever it is, whatever is keeping you down, you've got to be able to fight them. And you've got to be able to, so you've got to put in the work. You've got to be able to, study or whatever you need to do that, to become that version. If you want to learn a skill and become, if you're very passionate, I don't know, one of my hobbies is wood burning, for example. If I want to learn how to fight with my woodworking devils or hooks, then I've got to learn how to woodwork from the best, right? And then to fly is when you start getting excited. You're able to pump yourself up in order to be able to bring yourself to that next level. And those are your happy thoughts. Those are your motivation, the inspirations, those things that help to lift you to that higher plane, to that next level. And then being able to crow, that's just finding your voice. And honestly, that's your voice in whatever you have to share. I'm a firm believer that everybody has a story to share. and everybody is here for a reason to share their story with somebody else. Find your voice, and that's how you fight, fly, and crow in order to help get yourself to that next level. And just like your son, he was first swaddled and just sit there and whatnot, and that was his level. Now he's crawling. Now he's trying to get up so he can walk and see a little bit more. And now he gets to know things more. And you never see a child be like, no, I don't, you fall 100 times, walking's not for you. You should just crawl, right? It's the same with us. We get told no so often in our pre-adolescence that we get told you shouldn't do that or don't do that or these kinds of things, that we become very complacent. And we're just like, all right, well, I guess I shouldn't keep trying. And that was me for a lot of years. It's like, well, if I can't do it, why even bother?
So I was going to ask you, Jason, about that, and it was kind of interesting you brought that up, because I was going to say, when you look back in your life, was there a defining moment or defining experience that really shook you to the point where you knew that change was needed, or you knew that something needed to shift, or you knew that you were at the end of the road experiencing this, and you must make some sort of change in your life to take you beyond what you thought was possible? So I'm interested because I know, when we, especially as men, right, we want most men to hear these positive things that we are able to experience and this great things that we're able to do, and to make you, look at us as being, having it all together. Yet we all have some sort of broken parts of us that we're either most likely still working on, that we have a difficult time sharing because of the things that have led us to, those darker spaces in our life. So I'm just interested, because we're talking about all these amazing things you're doing now as a coach, as a father, as a man on this earth, sharing these beautiful visions of what you have to share. So was there a defining moment in your life that you can share that was just kind of that breaking point for you?
I would say there's a couple of them that were pretty defining for me. There was a couple, like one of the big ones was I was in so if I can let me think. So if I piece this together right, it would be, first off, and I know I've shared this with you guys, and I share it openly. I had my suicide completely planned out. I knew where it was going to happen, how it was going to happen, all that kind of stuff, and that's coming from a very dark place. I wish that on no one, that they ever get to that point. And I know that one of the key things that kept me from the when I was going to do it was keeping my focus on my wife, my child, and my unborn child at the time. He's now just turned 2 this last month. And so when that would probably be one, is that making sure. I had people that were telling me, you need to focus on your why, and I didn't understand quite what it was. But then I made that a focus, though, was focusing on my why. That was one of them. Another instance that that probably that shook me up a little bit. I had at my prior place of employment, my boss came into me. Her and I were good friends. We could talk openly about anything. And she came in and said, "Hey, I just got out of a meeting. They're ready to fire you. They're ready to just let you out the door and be done with you," kind of a thing, because of this review that you've had. And I was, like I said, because I was in that bad place, it made it so I was like, okay, it was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call, but it wasn't completely there. It helped. It was one of those series of events. I had pleadings from my wife. I had this. And then I started to wake up a little bit, and I had a group that I was a part of that was dealing with weight loss and stuff. And basically what helped to open my mind was that the gal that was running the group, she's like, "Okay, you've got to get your why, but then you've got to get your, what you're wanting to do." So your vision, we usually refer to vision boards and stuff. Me, because I know I'm unorthodox in some things. I didn't make a vision board. I made a vision box. Did it up all in cool paper or whatever, and then put things that I wanted on it. And so that would be another thing that led into changes for me. But if I were to give anybody that's listening that you are in a place that you do not want to be, ask yourself why you don't want to be there. Ask yourself where you want to be, and then get up and go find out how to get to where you want to be. Because once you've got something to focus on, once you've got something to shoot at, that's what you start fighting towards. That's what you start getting your voice up about. That's what you get, that's what gets you up in the morning, gets you excited instead of going, getting up, going to work, working your 9 to 5, going home. I love the analogy that Tony Robbins uses, that most of us have a boxed life. We drive our box, we go out of our box houses, drive our box work in our room, usually a cubicle or something like that. We eat out of our box lunch. We go home in our box car. We go back into our box house, and just to change things up, we drink things out of a little circle. So, it's interesting to me is that if you don't have anything that's worth fighting for, find something. If you don't have any, for Cedric, I'm sure one of his big things right now is his son. For me currently, my wife and I are pregnant. She's due in July. That's one of my big focuses is building client base so that I can be home to help her with the kids. We've got our 2 little boys that are firecrackers, and we got a little girl on the way.
It'd be kind of cool if it's on the 14th of July. It's a good day. Just saying.
See, and I'm saying the 17th. My mother-in-law is saying the 5th. So.
But as you're asking those questions, Jason, it's interesting how those simple questions that we don't spend a lot of time trying to answer, we'll focus on, the more complex questions and just kind of ignore those little things. Who am I? What is my purpose? All these little simple things that we can have a little bit more meaning in our life that might resolve those bigger issues by themselves.
I'm reading The Science of Getting Rich right now by, I think it's Wallace Wattles that wrote that. Anyways, he talks about in that book, how your mind, soul, and body cannot be disconnected. Not one is better than the other. Not one is more holy than the other. And for me, that's where part of my problem was, is that I was so focused on my health. So my body was crap. I was not focused on my soul. So that was my connection with my God was bad. Like, it was terrible. And so, and even then my mind, it was okay. I was studying some stuff here and there, but not near as focused or even just as ready, to go learn something new as I am now. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and in the last 6 months, I've probably read or listened to a dozen books of different things that I'm curious about, helping with coaching, writing books, writing audios, those kinds of things. And so it's something that I got excited about.
Love it.
So I'm curious, Jason. Man, it just, what in the hell got you into coaching? How did you get to this point?
So for me, I know one of my personality types is that I like to help people get to another level. When I was in high school, it was a weird thing that I started but didn't mean to start. When we had guys, freshmen coming in playing football, those kinds of things, and a couple of them were friends of mine, and they wanted to learn how to long snap, for example, and so I would stay after practice and just work with them on stuff, and they would be like, "Yeah, can you help me?" So I mentored them through that. And then, so I knew that was one of those gifts that I had, was one to help mentor people along. So fast forward to last year, so 2017, November of 2017, my wife and I had been doing some stuff to help with our, we're part of an MLM company that deals with health and whatnot. And so that's what we focus on. And we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we help people even more, other than just getting good nutrient-based things. Like that was our thing. And so we're like, okay, so how can we do this? And we're like, oh, we could become dietitians or we could become nutritionists, but nothing felt right. And I kid you not, it was the week of Thanksgiving. It was, I mean, you want to talk about the universe lining up and, you know, all the planets aligning and everything working. She found it Monday night, the week of Thanksgiving. She got this little blurb from the Health Coach Institute. She had an interview. Her and I talked about it, and I listened, and it checked every one of our boxes. It just bam, 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 bam. We're like, all right. So then we're like, okay, how can we do this financially? Like, how can we make this happen? And so we go and we, like, her parents were like, no, we're okay. They can't help us at the moment. And so we went and asked my dad. He basically just told us no. And we're like, okay, that's fine. We feel right about this. We put it out there basically that God will provide if this is what we're supposed to do. So Friday after Thanksgiving, I was working and I had this all of a sudden thought of, what if we looked into this, like, way of getting it? And I said we could do this, and we called the guy and got it all arranged, and the next Monday we had the money. Within a week we had the money, and we felt so right about it because it was a way for us to help expand people and help them to become, you know, more okay with themselves, to step up and the better version of themselves. As I've christened this audio and stuff I've done, the Bangarang Effect, stepping up into that Bangarang versions of themselves.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. Wow.
Jason, are you still doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hoping I'm right here. My memory sometimes doesn't serve me well. You're looking into doing the whole growing of crops for the purpose of storage for others.
Yes, I am. That's one of our ultimate goals. So my wife and I, one of our ultimate goals is to own a piece of property, 25 acres is what we're looking at. On 24 of those acres, we would be growing crops year round. And I say year round, Utah is terrible. That's where I'm from. Utah is terrible for snow. But what we want to do is have greenhouses and probably have a couple acres worth of just greenhouses. And what the idea behind that is that, like, the whole garden aspect of it is that we want to, if anybody is ever without food, they can come and get it from us. And what we would be doing is preserving it year round. So we're bottling, we're freezing, we're freeze drying, we're drying it, however way we can preserve it as soon as it's ready to go. I know it's going to be a major operation because 25 acres is quite large. And we're going to be going year round. So we're going to have our crew and stuff for that. But what we want is so that if anybody ever is without food, I'm of the opinion, and partially this is because I like to cook. I do all of the cooking in our house. But it's I don't think that anybody should ever have to go without food. And obviously the more nutrient dense that it is, the better. So if I can get my farm going, when I get my farm growing, that it'll be able to just mass produce. We have some other things that we've got in the works as far as what we intend on having. One of them is, I don't know if you guys are familiar, in New York, there's a place, it's buy a slice, leave a slice kind of a thing. It's a pizza joint. What we want to do is I'm going to have a food truck that basically once or twice a month it goes out, and you basically buy a burger, leave a burger, and homeless people or whoever, you might be short, some money or whatever, just grab a note off saying, hey, I'll take one of these kind of a thing. And it's all revolving around how can I best serve somebody. A hot meal is a great way to do that.
Wow.
It's your inner Tinkerbell coming out.
For sure, man. For sure. I got friends that are in the farming community. I got some ties with them that I gotta, dig up, and no pun intended for the gardening, but bring them about to help me cultivate this the best way that I can.
Wow, man.
There's two things to go with that, and I'll let Cedric go. I'm sorry, Ced. First of all, thank you for allowing me to have to connect with my memory, which I sometimes wonder how well it's doing, but also just to acknowledge just what you're doing. I think that just stuck out with me, obviously, when you shared that with me. And we haven't had many conversations, like this, but just to know that you're doing something like that good in the world, I think just kudos to you.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, dude. And for you to be able to tap into the person you need to be to have that kind of thought and share that's like the greatest thing ever, man. Like, y'all, look, there's people with hearts like that in the world. And I gotta go there, even on our show. And let's be honest, in this climate, man, look, this is a white dude, and this is to my black people in the audience. There are good white people in the world. Like, stop tripping. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? This dude trying to feed somebody for nothing. Like, and this is a man. This is not something, like, I'm feeling all types of ways about this, man. This is a man that has that genuine care for the world, for people, for humankind, to say, hey, you should not have to go hungry. And my struggles, I want to help you overcome your similar struggles. Wow, man, that's love. That's love. Wow.
Yeah, no, I honestly, so Ron, yeah, I'm glad I could help your memory out a little bit. and guys, honestly, it's just the love, the outcropping of love, or outpouring of love, not outcropping, outpouring of love that I've felt since essentially opening my eyes. That's probably the best way I can equate this. Best thing I can equate this to is opening my eyes to the possibilities that when whatever I put out into the world will come back to me tenfold. And once I've opened my eyes to that, it makes everything just click and flow so much easier and so much nicer. And I've seen it done to me, the outpouring of love and stuff, and all I want to do, and don't get me wrong, this is part of the whole the laws of the universe and stuff. It's, you've got to be a good giver as well as a good receiver, and I'm just like, I want to be able to give. I'm not going to negate anybody from giving to me. I'm going to be a good receiver, but if I can give and help change somebody's life for the better, give them a hot meal once in a while or anything. I mean, it's one of those things that gets me going. I mean, to be a little crude or whatever, it's what turns me on, gets me going and stuff, revs my engine, however you want to look at it. It's one of those things that just absolutely I love.
Wow. That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
And I, as I mentioned early on, I mean, that's this whole conversation, previous conversations we've had, these are the types of things that just draw us to putting this information out there, for even if it's just us three that just remember and can reflect upon this conversation. I mean, that's the benefit that we feel as men. We could be doing so many other things right now, right? We could be engaged in doing something that's destructive, that's not helping us grow, to do something we want others to see, that we're gonna show our egos and how we can, we want others to see us. Yet here we are spending 45 minutes of our day just talking about something that resonates with us as men, and knowing that, you, the listener out there, who are you surrounding yourself with that gives you the form to be yourself. We can have our own inner growth and do these things in our life that give us our own fulfillment. But how do we inspire others? How do we reach out to others and open up opportunities for others to share who they are through our actions, and just creating that wonderful space for others to feel comfortable and confident in knowing that we can share some of these deeper secrets or feelings that maybe we feel that aren't as pretty as the colorful, happy feelings that we oftentimes put out there. And Jason, you brought another whole another level to our conversation, and I just truly thank you for taking time with us. I'm hoping you would love to come back and share another conversation topic with us.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. My wife and I, she made a comment to me because I do the Bangarang Effect, and we were talking about something else, and she's like, "You're just going to become the pop culture coach." I'm like, I don't care, because the pop culture, a lot of people resonate with that, and that's how some people get it. And I would love to be back on. I'm sure if my book's not done by the time you want me back on, I will for sure have another recording by the time we get back on.
Well, just keep doing the things you've been doing, and I can't wait to see the things that you have in store. I mean, just for me to experience you from afar, and you inspire me to be a better man. You just allow me to be okay with the things that I'm inadequate with, and to know that that's okay. I'm perfectly imperfect, and I can still step forward in my life and be the best husband I can be the best father I can be the best coach I can be, and just aspire to be the best human being I can be from now until the day that this body no longer serves its purpose, and my energy will move on. And just to know that, and to have experienced just another layer of amazing growth through the things that you're putting out there. I just truly appreciate what you've done for us. And I know Cedric has a very poignant question he likes to ask at the end of our evening. So I leave that to him. But I just want to truly thank you. Thank you, the listener. Thank you, those that are just kind of popping in, seeing what we're doing here. Share this. This may not be something that resonates with you, and you may know somebody exactly that would need something that we're putting out there that might benefit them. And again, this is just us putting our own thoughts and views out there. We don't want you to think that we are telling you what or how to live your life, but just give you some different insight on maybe how you can formulate a different idea based on a black man from Texas and a white man from Southern California, just putting ourselves out there, and another white man from that lives up in Utah with different perspectives in life. So I'll give it over to Ced for his signature question.
Yeah. And man, before I go there, Jason, and it's a safe question, man. It's not a trick one.
Scared, dude. You got me scared.
But man, I wanted to appreciate you for showing up, man, and blessing us, blessing the game with the Bangarang Effect, man, and sharing a piece of you. And a little side note too, man, you played a big part in me being able to be a voice for my body image issues, something I posted about a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. You were like, honestly, like the last man do it. I know I can. So grateful for that, man. Grateful for you coming on the show. But in thinking about the Bangarang and all of it, man, I ask everybody that comes into the cave, space not an option. I mean, well, not an issue, not an option. Space not being an issue, what would you have on your headstone?
The only phrase that's coming to mind, and I could be all snippy with the Bangarang Effect or anything like that, but honestly, if I were to put anything on my headstone at this moment, it would be live unapologetically.
Wow. Thank you. And guys, the Man Kave Experience.
Jace, you got any closing comments, any ahas, anything you want to share with the audience before we say our final goodbyes?
Honestly, I mean, I want to expound a little bit on that unapologetically, if you don't mind.
Sure.
It plays right into the Bangarang Effect of live as if, how do I put this? the idea of living unapologetically is not that you go and do whatever you want, but doing whatever you know to be right at your core. Living that Bangarang version of yourself so that when you make a decision on anything, you have to apologize and answer to no one. That's the idea of living unapologetically. And as far as the Man Kave Experience, do what's best at your core, live unapologetically, and live into that Bangarang life, guys.
Show your shirt there real quick too.
It's your time.
Hell yeah.
Your time.
Hell yeah.
Good shirt tonight.
So anybody listening, man, how would they get in touch with you? Like if they want to find you and follow the Bangarang, how do they get in touch with you, man?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me either at JT Wellness. It's like Jason Tenise Wellness. You can also find us on Facebook, again on Facebook, but look for myself. That's Jason Busenbark. Have fun trying to spell the last name. No, it's spelled exactly like it sounds, Busenbark. You can find me on Insta at Booze67. That's BUZE67. Twitter, same thing. And or just find me, email us at jtwellnesschange@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Honestly, that's as many as I can remember offhand. But reach out. Let's talk.
We'll get you up on our Facebook page that Cedric and I are going to get going on here shortly as well. So
cool.
All right, man. Have a wonderful rest of your week and great being amongst some amazing men.
Yeah, appreciate this time and space, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.